Hello, guys. Welcome to Bears Bowley Go, where we're discussing the first season of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, apologies for the gap, or apologies for returning, depending on who you are. Life got
Life,
in the way.
yeah, life.
Um, yeah, I moved house. I've changed job. Um, all sorts of nonsense.
To paraphrase Ian Malcolm, life gets busy.
Yep, indeed,
I'm not
indeed.
sure that really counts as a paraphrasing, but
Mm. Um, but as we do this for fun anyway, and it's just an excuse really for me and James to just hang out as we live 4 hours
hey,
away from each other.
since you last saw me,
Um,
I now have a new shelving unit
You do, don't you?
that
I
has
thought
a
something was different.
yeah has my Lego Sonic up top here, and then
Nice.
has my various miniatures on.
So does that mean there's more lead-based paint in the house now?
None of the paint's lead based. They don't make lead based paint anymore.
Oh, oh,
The paint is safe. The paint is safe to eat now.
these lefties. Oh,
Like
oh
I
dear.
was looking at old miniatures the other day. I was like, oh, how old are they? And are they absolutely full of lead? And I might accidentally lick them.
Because you would, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, you always lick the miniatures, aren't you? That's just part of the miniature
Yeah, yeah,
building
yeah,
game. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you've got, yeah, it's like it's just that
I mean, it's
extra
the running gag that
sensory
people
level.
constantly accidentally drink paint water because you'll have
Mm,
like maybe a mug of water for your paint, a mug of coffee, and it's like,
yeah,
oh no, that's paint water.
yeah.
Now,
I
if that
mean
paint water
that.
was full of lead, that's
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it just toughens you up, James. Just toughens you up.
well,
Like, yeah.
have you ever heard the theory that part of the reason the world is going absolutely nuts right now is because people of a certain generation are just succumbing to their various
Poisonings.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, like, hopefully, I mean, to be honest, that's a fairly logical assumption, and if it is that, then it might be slightly more comforting than the fact that like maybe just everyone hates each other. Like, so
Well, but there's
maybe
just a
there's
whole generation of people succumbing to lead poisoning.
yeah, I'd be fine with that. I'd be all right with that. Like, I'd prefer that to
It
just
is
like
it is a
absolute.
strange comfort, isn't it?
Yeah, that it isn't actually that there's so much natural disdain for each other. No, no, it's just that everyone licked lead paint as kids. So, um, fingers crossed, eh, James? Fingers crossed for lead poisoning. So, yeah. On that cheery note, should we start talking about Strange New Worlds,
That's pretty
which
good, isn't
didn't
it?
have any lead poisoning in it at all.
Aye, it's a pretty good show.
Yeah. Although it did have a hallucinogenic esque episode.
The good
Various other
old
wonderful
classic.
things.
We
Mm.
have a costume box full of stuff from a different TV show. Let's read it. Episode.
And what an episode that was! Um, that was superb.
So we
I
just shot some
like,
Shakespeare. It's time to reuse the sets.
yeah. Um, so I mean, we both were obviously a few weeks behind
Yes,
for
I
Strange New
have.
World.
I've
Hence
watched
why
it
we've
at my own pace.
yeah. And that wasn't again. That wasn't really a case of the quality of the show. Like if life hadn't got in the way, I probably would have watched it within 24 hours of each episode. To be honest, because I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Um,
Aye, Star Trek is more readily available to us in the UK now as well, with the
yeah, we
launch of
finally have
Paramount Plus
Paramount
over here,
Plus.
which doesn't
Yeah.
at the end of Strange New Worlds technically, but
Mm, um, James is descending into a blue realm.
yeah, I apologise. You can hear me fine. The audio's fine. I think you just got to put up with me living in darkness today.
Sorry, no, oh, the brightness is coming back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna flip. I just
yeah, yeah.
I'm not. I don't
Um,
have lights and stuff set up like I would normally do because we haven't recorded
mm,
in so long, and I thought it'd be fine with it being a nice day. But hey ho, I
mm.
guess it's the problem is because I'm side of it as well.
Yeah, yeah, you just need a bit of bounce or something to
Yeah,
illuminate your face. Um,
basically a big bit of white here, or silver, or gold.
something shiny, something shiny. Did you have a favorite episode?
I mean,
Because this, more than any modern Trek, certainly was episode of the week kind of
I
jobber.
love.
Although there was a nice over arc of a
We've
couple of
discussed it in.
couple of lines.
It's an episode we did discuss, I think, potentially already. We might have
Mm.
even got as far as episode 5 for discussing in the
I think
singular.
possibly we did. Yeah,
But I did love Spock and Muck.
that was excellent. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Serene Squall was fantastic,
Certainly was.
especially with the return of a certain character, or
Mm.
I guess not the return of a certain character. A return of a certain character to us, but obviously the timeline of a show, not the return
No, it's the reveal of
of
um,
one of Spock's many hidden siblings.
one of his many half siblings. Because you know that Sarek has got a he's got a an anchor in every port, shall we say?
And then I mean, I'm always a sucker for.
We're talking about Cybok, by the way, for anyone.
Yes,
in the room.
Cybok.
Yeah.
I'm always a sucker for stuff like the Elysian Kingdom.
Mm.
Like when Star Trek basically decides we're bored, let's do a different genre for the week.
Mm.
Whether that be the Dixon Hill episodes,
But I mean, with
the Captain
Dixon Hill
Proton
ones,
stuff,
like, and the Captain Pro, this was very much in the vein of those, where it was actually something that was in the lives of the crew anyway.
yes,
So, like, Captain Proton was something that they played and or read or watched. Similarly, the Dixon Hills. And then this, of course, was the set of storybooks. Well,
Yeah.
the storybook that the Doctor was reading to his daughter that was living in the buffer, in the memory buffer of the medical transporter. And
then I just have to say, final episode, The Quality of Mercy, masterclass.
Absolute masterclass. Yeah,
Um,
that was Star Trek again, like, because it was serious. Which after
I went back and watched.
What was-
I went back and watched the episode as well afterwards.
yeah,
I went back and watched the original,
mm.
and some of some of the lines are
almost exactly the same.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the way.
Because for those who can't quite remember what we're talking about, the last episode of this season is essentially a remake in a way because of time travel.
It's a remake of A Balance of Terror.
Yeah.
And I like the title, so this is A Quality of Mercy, as opposed to the original being A Balance of Terror. And a future Pike in the Monster Maroon. And it was nice to see an updated version of that uniform. That is potentially one of my favourite Star Trek uniforms.
Yeah, same.
Travels back in time with Klingon time travel to warn Pike, because Pike's decided he's going to definitely change the future.
Change the future.
And he succeeds, apparently.
Because he meets one of the cadets that
Who
dies
doesn't
in the
survive,
incident.
who doesn't manage to save.
Yeah.
And so Pike comes back to warn him that if he does it, he dooms the galaxy to what sounds like a forever war with the Romulans.
And whatever else comes of that, because obviously, at some point, you would imagine a battered and bruised Alpha Quadrant gets invaded by the Borg again. Also would then get invaded by the Dominion. So it would be.
Spock dies in this dark future as well. So there's no Spock to do the various things Spock does to save
the universe over and over again.
Yep. I imagine Pike's interactions with Khan are very different to Kirk's.
Yeah, I mean, especially as he obviously served with one of Khan's descendants as well, there'd be a potentially different attitude to
There's also no
Khan.
saying they don't think they can use Khan to help them in the war against the Romulans. And you get a very different, like, there's a dark future, effectively.
A very, very dark future.
And you discover
because arguably, the nicer of the two captains is the one that engages in the battle with this particular Romulan ship.
Well, that's the thing. His attempts to cause peace are what actually starts the war.
Start war. Mm.
Kirk doesn't necessarily want to run into a war, but is willing to fight if needs
be.
Yeah. Did you go back and watch Balance of Terror? Or?
I didn't, but
I'm going back and watching it. Kirk is still not hungry for, because you have obviously Ortegas.
I have watched it recently.
Intriguing.
Enough.
I'd like to know what happened in those 7 years that led to Ortegas' change in personality.
Well, she's always been fiery, so, and obviously
she's not been war hungry, though. I mean, she's serving the role of what a character in Balance of Terror serves, as the kind of distrust of Spock and.
But then she's also in that time, Singh isn't on the Enterprise anymore.
No, she's Kirk's first officer by the looks of it.
She's Kirk's first officer now, yeah. So, and she was the slightly more aggressive. So maybe it's a vacuum of there, and Ortegas has kind of filled that vacuum. You've also then got to think that, like, there may have been more encounters with the Gorn, which is another thing that we'll mention in a bit, because that was a couple of excellent episodes. So there could be a general feeling of fear.
I like the
obviously
subtle shift.
They were in a cold war with the Klingons at this point as well. So, like, a young character,
they're in
like
a cold
Ortegas,
war with the Klingons at the point of.
But I mean, it's still another 7 years, though, isn't it? Like, there's still plenty of time for a character like Ortegas to grow, and not necessarily grow in the direction that you'd like them to grow.
And I do like the shift in Peck's performance here as well. How much less emotion then is present in Strange New Worlds, because he's obviously a more mature. He's even more playing Nimoy Spock here.
He is, but still, like, without it being an impression or a pastiche.
Yeah, I'm more trying to get.
I know exactly what you're talking.
Yeah, that older, more mature Spock who has got his emotions under.
And I think that's even more impressive, really, because, like, he probably more than any of the other actors, just because of how much on-screen time he's getting. Like, I mean, obviously, we had the sad passing of Nichelle Nichols this week, but the younger actress who's playing Uhura, as much as she's absolutely knocking it out the park, like, she isn't yet a main character in the same way that, like, Spock is. And so she's probably got a lot on her shoulders, but at the same time, the mountain that he has to climb, and he's done it so well.
Yeah.
Like, he is Spock. Like, as much as Nimoy ever was Spock.
Thing is, we're also benefiting from Celia Rose Gooding is playing a much, much younger horror, right? Like, still a cadet. Obviously not in this episode, but generally,
no.
Yeah. Still a cadet. So you can pull off a much more, like, early, like, a performance that is different. While Spock is definitely on the path to being the Spock we know. And
obviously because Vulcans live a lot longer as well. Like, 7 years for a Vulcan is not that big, whereas 7 years for a human can be quite significant. Like, the difference between someone who's literally just come out of the academy in Uhura and someone who, like, is 7 years later could be quite experienced.
Also, Thingy's the Bruce Howard's Hemmer is great.
Yeah.
Who obviously Hemmer sacrifices himself in the previous episode to this.
Mm.
And I love it. It did something that the Obi-Wan show did recently as well, which it throw back to like a line in the future that just, I think, when Hemmer talks about why like sacrificing yourself for the people you love is sometimes necessary and all of that, and Spock, you cut to Spock and Spock goes, that is only logical, and it's obviously thrown back to his choices thrown forward to his choices in Wrath of Khan, right? Like, how he decides to do the same thing and I guess you get to see that through line of how this action here informs Spock and carries forward to his future. And Obi-Wan Kenobi did a similar thing recently. In fact, that there's a line in it that makes it's explaining something that doesn't need explaining, but it does it so well. You've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi, haven't you?
Of course, yeah. It was
so the duel of the last episode.
Yeah, I mean,
where you get that wonderful moment where Anakin is like
Star Wars series.
Yeah, where Anakin is all, you didn't, like, you're not to blame for this. This is all me.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan does that. Well, my friend is truly dead. Then goodbye, Darth.
Yeah.
And it's like, and obviously it throws forward to, we don't need an explanation for why he calls him Darth in A New Hope. But we get such a wonderful explanation for why he calls him Darth in A New Hope. That
because Darth isn't his name; it's his rank.
Yeah, but it's like calling him Doctor, right?
Yeah.
It's like calling an Admiral just Admiral without throwing. It's a title, but his friend is dead, so he just refers to him as his
rank,
as his title. Yeah,
because it's cold, like, and it's almost the ultimate insult. Like, okay, I accept that you're dead. You are nothing but a rank to me now.
And it's why it falls into that he's more man than machine now, because for Obi-Wan to move past, he has to accept that Anakin is gone. In a way that Luke never does, and obviously that's why Luke manages to bring Anakin back.
Yeah.
But
some lovely foreshadowing in this.
But back to Star Trek. But just similar ideas and similar thoughts in recent shows there.
And then
I'm sad to see Hemmer gone, because Hemmer was fantastic. We also hear, speaking of chief engineers, we hear Scotty in the next. See, this is a point you could bring Scotty in next season as chief engineer. He can predate Kirk.
Well, he wasn't chief engineer to begin with, anyway, was he? I'm sure he wasn't.
He's chief engineer in the original series.
I don't think he is originally, though. I don't think he's like from episode 1.
Well, but it's that weird gooey, because no one is. You have to kind of, I think, with the original series, you have to accept the fact that, at least when it comes to canon storytelling, that stuff is weird and loosey-goosey because they don't know what they're doing. They're not planning things like that.
I mean, the thing is, I think you could get away with him being certainly on there, like, because he was again relatively young.
I'm pretty sure, for all intents and purposes, he's chief engineer from the get-go. We don't see any other engineers doing.
Maybe not. Not that, again, as you say, it doesn't particularly matter. And with the amount of time travel that they do in Star Trek, like, the timeline could quite easily get slightly fudged.
Dr. M'Benga is so good as well.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic character. Who serves Bones' part in the final episode, where he's the one saying how war is bad. Bones has those lines in the original. It is a pitch perfect remake. The only thing, and I get why they didn't do it, and they probably shouldn't have done it, but I think it would have been a lovely wink if they did,
is the casting of the Romulan.
Yeah, if they got the actor who played Sarek in Disco to come and play him. I get why they didn't, and they probably shouldn't, but
Although it could have been something that they'd done, and if they put enough prosthetics on him so that he didn't necessarily look
yeah,
like himself, but it was him, that would have been great. Because obviously in the original series, the guy who plays the lead Romulan character in this episode,
is later brought back as Spock's dad.
Is later brought back as Spock's dad. Yeah. Because they had, it was TV of that time. There was a limited number of actors available, especially at the right price. So they, multiple actors some actors played multiple characters.
Yeah. Also, TV, I think, was also made instead that some people might just watch one episode. So bringing, like, Doctor Who does it all the time as well.
Yeah. They bring back actors. But then, obviously, you've got... it happened with more modern Trek as well. It happened with the actor who plays Tom Paris.
Yeah.
Which has led to a wonderful conspiracy theory that it's actually the same character.
Well, it's meant to be.
No, it's not official.
No. It was meant to be, but because of some kind of... Because we didn't want to pay for writers of that episode...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's meant to be the same character, but they didn't want... they realised they'd have to every single episode of Voyager, they'd have to pay a royalty fee to the writers of that episode.
Oh.
So it's not the same character, but it is by design and intent.
But it is totally the same character. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but they realised that that it would mean, like, say, paying royalties on every single episode of Voyager. So they...
So they didn't?
No, they did the dirty instead.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because, God forbid, you pay writers for coming up with characters.
So we've briefly mentioned them. The Gorn.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I kind of liked the first episode with them in, where you don't see them. Outside of the stuff I've already mentioned with Hemmer that I think is fantastic. I'm less keen for two reasons. One, I've recently seen Alien.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Alien is better than this episode. Which is fine. Like, Alien is one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time.
Well,
There's a reason everything apes it regularly. But I also watched the Orville episode that does a similar thing, and I think the Orville episode actually did it better.
Which one was that?
When we come across the absolute giant space station in the unexplored region of space, and the plant spits on the Admiral, and it reprograms the DNA, and it turns into a alien.
Yes.
And then by spitting on things, they reprogram the DNA. I actually think the Orville pulled off the tone and the horror and the feel better than this Gorn episode did. And literally I watched that the night before this, so they were both very fresh in my mind. So this...
have to say, we probably do need an Orville episode, because...
oh yeah, I have strong thoughts on season... I'm 3 episodes into season 3, and it is...
I've very nearly finished season 3.
It is on par with... And, like... I think all the season 1 and 2 are great, and 2 is better than 1.
Yep.
It has dropped any pretense at being a comedy show at this point.
No, but there's still some nice light humour.
Oh yeah, but Star Trek's always had nice light humour. Star Trek's always had that vein of, but it's dropped the potential of being a straight up. It's now a sci-fi drama with comedy.
Yeah.
With light relief.
It's a dramedy rather than a sitcom that was with drama. Like
the arc of season 2 has mostly dropped it as well, to be fair. Season 1 is quite heavy because that, I guess, is how they sold the show. It's Family Guy Star Trek. And then I think he realised he could pull that back as time went on. And then obviously he was given a lot of money for season 3.
And has justified every penny of it.
Apparently he didn't spend or anywhere close to all of it.
Really?
Yeah,
so hopefully they do get a season 4 then.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, we'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah, but if anyone that hasn't watched Orville, watch it, and season 3 right so far, where I'm up to, it's finished on. It's all on Disney Plus or Hulu if you're in America. Although coming to Disney Plus in America soon as well, all 3 seasons. Season 1 and 2 are good. Season 3 is TOS to the motion picture level of a visual upgrade there, to the point where they've obviously spent so much money on the ship model that they even, and partly because I think they're spoofing the motion picture a little bit, they do like a ton of fly arounds, and it's stunning. But I do think the current season of Orville is on par with anything Star Trek is putting out, and knowing how much I love Star Trek,
that's a big compliment.
Yeah, I'm not,
because I think that
I'm not one of those people saying like, oh, watch Orville instead of Star Trek because Orville's better. No, I think modern Star Trek is amazing, and Orville is up there with it.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think it is. Yeah, it's excellent. Orville could very happily slot into actually being an alternate timeline of Star Trek now. Like, it is that good. Like, and I would
Star Trek 4.
I would say it's actually the best thing. Like, if you were to count it alongside the Star Wars TV shows and the Marvel TV shows, it's the best of any of them. Right. So anyway, go on. You were gonna.
Are transporters IP protected by Star Trek?
I don't know,
because I noticed that Orville doesn't have a shuttle everywhere. But then I start thinking about it more, and I can't think of any Star Trek style shows. So things like Andromeda, Farscape, all these kind of long-running spacefaring shows, where they transport.
Yeah, and yet the Orville has replicators, and the Orville has holodecks. Obviously, they don't use exactly those words, but like they have that technology in there.
I wonder if because
at least in Star Trek,
because transporters came in TOS era, I wonder if it came in early enough that Star Trek does have a claim.
I wonder
to them.
Maybe.
Because you never see other shows using them.
Oh, yeah, because I wonder with something like the Orville as well, which obviously did start as a light-hearted parody.
Yeah.
And is now very, very obviously just Star Trek. If they did push the envelope and have a transporter in it, would that be the thing that, even if Star Trek doesn't own the IP of a transporter, would it be that thing that tips the envelope? Would it be that thing that pushes the boundary just that little bit too far?
Are we seeing that?
And someone at Viacom would go, right.
Are we seeing that transporters are the thing that everyone leaves out? So it's not a pitch perfect. Yeah. Like if Star Trek did come, if Viacom, Paramount, is it Viacom anymore? I don't.
I think it's Viacom. No, I'm sure it's the parent company still. Like,
but yeah, if Paramount came knocking and was like, "What you doing there?" That they would go, "Look, we don't have transporters, so we're clearly a very different show."
Yeah. I think it's also like there's an element with the Orville again because of its light parody roots. And like, as much as they've really, really improved things like the CGI, the sets haven't improved. The sets still look a little bit cheap. Yeah. But by design, that like there's probably as much as there's probably
they have like the bridge looks miles better. I think because I assume you just started season 3 when it came out.
Yes. Yeah.
I've rewatched 1 and 2, so I went straight from 2 into 3 on the same night.
I went straight from the end of 2 to 3.
But it's
like the last couple of, they obviously had a touch more budget for the end of 2. I think they'd saved some money.
Well, weirdly, I think most of season 2's money is spent on the Kalan 2-parter.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this whole season 3 kind of, it's almost as if the last 3 episodes of the season 2 didn't happen and we're coming straight from the Kalan 2-parter. But there is like another two-part at the end of season 2 with time travel and
yeah.
But back to Strange New
track.
Worlds. Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, unfortunately, very sadly,
Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah, Nichelle Nichols passed away this week. But I think Celia Rose Gullin does her a good service as a her.
She really does do her justice, doesn't she? And I hope
Cadet Uhura is great.
I hope Nichelle Nichols was well enough in her final months to have seen some of this, because for everything that she did for Black women in particular, for women in general, for Black people in general, she's such an important person culturally.
Yes.
Outside of television, outside of science fiction, outside of Star Trek, but just for people. I mean, you can't forget that, like, when original series came out, that was still during the civil rights movement in America. That was, in the era of Martin Luther King and the likes. That was still a very, very, like, fresh piece of history at the time, and so her character was incredibly important. That kiss, as awkward as it was on BBC Breakfast when the morning after she died. Like, you watch it now and it's laughable, but like the way that it's so awkward. But
it's not just that was the acting style of TOS in.
No, he's. I mean, obviously, in context, it's because there's a god that forces Kirk and Uhura to kiss. And they're both trying to fight it because actually there's no romance there or anything like that. No. And Kirk's trying his hardest to realistically not abuse his position of power as well.
That's also worth. Uhura's a bridge officer, not like she's lieutenant and chief of a department.
And the flagship ship as well. So she's an immensely important character, even just within the show. If you take all of the context away, she's a very, very important character. And then you add the historical significance. The show was very brave. She was excellent, and did everything. And then she took advantage of that outside of there to do as much good as possible. She took her fame from that character. Remarkable human being. Wonderful, so I hope she was well enough in her final few months to see this excellent performance.
Because it's great, and for conflict of whether she wants to be in Starfleet or not, I think is excellent. And again, it's another moment where it's probably Hemmer's arc that cements the idea that she will stay, right?
Yeah.
Season we get obviously with Una Chin Riley, played by Rebecca
Romaine.
Yep. We have a
cliffhanger
nice arc there, and obviously a nice build of reveals, and because obviously the character is basically non-existent in Star Trek lore before Discovery. Like Marjorie, obviously. Marjorie,
she's number one in the pilot.
Yep, and played by
Majel Barrett.
Yep.
The wife of Gene Roddenberry.
But the character beyond that has never really been used or fleshed out.
Because of course Majel Barrett moved on to being Nurse Chapel.
Also, a character performed brilliantly by Jess Bush throughout this.
And
again, I love how there was always the flirt. She always used to flirt with Spock in
the
original series, and then here you see
why.
And I wonder if that is the reason his marriage to T'Pring ends.
Maybe. We can only find out. But yeah, it's nice. Like, obviously, it does look like they potentially explain why you don't see number one later. because spoilers at the end of the final episode, she gets arrested for being an Elorian,
Yes.
who are genetically modified species. They are human, aren't they? I think
No, they are an alien species.
they're an alien species who just appear human, but yeah.
They, well, they might not all appear human.
I couldn't work out whether they were some of the early pioneer
No, they're
humans.
not. They are an alien species who genetically modify themselves to adapt to the planets we land on, as opposed to genetically modifying the planet.
As opposed to terraforming the planets and ruining the planets.
Actually, when you think about it, no, that actually feels more ethically
yeah.
sound. But because of everything with Khan, the Federation just has a...
Of course, again, foreshadowing, really, and with Khan, the whole story of Khan is about terraforming.
Yeah.
Like it's that it's the Genesis device.
Yeah.
Like so, which is about terraforming. It's about changing a planet rather than changing yourself.
Yeah.
So actually, again, a lovely bit of foreshadowing that I've only really just thought about. But yeah,
I like how Pike was ready to throw down right there and then to
to his girlfriend.
yeah.
It was yeah.
I love Pike cooking as well. Throughout the series, how much Pike loves to cook.
Yeah.
And
I love the implication of how utilitarian Kirk is by choice as well. That like he could have a quarters like that.
Yes.
But when no, I want a box. I would like a tiny little box. Why? I don't like to cook, and all I like to do in my bedroom is either be broody or have sex, and that's it. So it doesn't need anything else.
The thing is, Kirk actually doesn't do a lot of the latter. But yeah, there's this notion that Kirk is a ladies' man, but
no, yeah.
Really, Kirk just wants to sleep. That room is solely for sleeping in between work. Because all Kirk loves is work and Spock.
Although again, it does have the benefit of it's that uncomfortable that if he does have a sexual conquest, she isn't going to want to hang around. Because like, well, what, like, all right, yeah, I'm gone. So no, because the real truth is Sulu is the proper sex pest in the original series. Kirk is just Kirk's just a normal guy, really. Like he just happens to be, because he's the main character. Yeah. He has a bit of a bad name for himself. But you watch Sulu. Sulu's the sneaky one, right? But yeah, series 2 they've already wrapped.
Oh, speaking of how pitch perfect of a remake that final episode was as well.
Yeah,
they made sure the other officer was in Sulu's seat. Because obviously, if you notice all throughout, Ortegas is in the seat on that side.
Yes.
But because that's the seat the one who hates the Romulans and gets paranoid about Spock is sitting in. That's the seat they put Ortegas in the remake. Like the attention of detail. In how, even like to the point where the episode opens on a marriage.
Yeah.
On a wedding, and that's where Pike travels back to. The shape of the podium is the same. Like
I assume it's meant to be the same characters.
Oh yeah, it is. But they reverse who dies.
Yeah.
In Kirk's timeline, the husband to be dies. While obviously in Pike's timeline,
it's the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like having mirrored like Spock's injuries to kind of Pike's injuries.
Yeah.
How it's a near identical kind of accident.
Fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's that, and again in that term of foreshadowing, where at the end Spock's like, "I can't help but think I owe you a great debt of gratitude.
Mm.
And it instantly explains in a moment why Spock commits mutiny in
yeah
in the menagerie.
Mm.
Right, like, because Spock owes, like,
big time.
Yeah,
He might never actually find out what happened, but he knows that he's only alive because Pike chose for him to be alive.
Yeah,
essentially, like,
Pike chose his fate, so Spock doesn't.
Yeah,
and again, it's all these little moments where these things don't necessarily need explaining, but if we add to character, they add to. This is how you, if you're going to do that kind of thing,
you do. Yeah, you
it's
do
a
it
fine
like
line
this.
that you can get wrong, but this is how you do it.
But yeah, season 2, they've already wrapped.
Yes.
One of the things I love the most about modern Star Trek is that the majority of the actors have fully embraced Star Trek. They love it.
Yes.
And the actress who plays Ortegas, her social media is essentially just Star Trek.
I also like how it seems Paramount does not tell its cast, like, don't clap back.
Yeah.
Like, if they come, like, it seems Paramount has a firm, like, oh no, if the dregs of the internet come for you, feel free.
Yeah, because that's what Star Trek does.
Because you see, like, a lot of obviously you see it with Wilson Cruz and over on Disco as well. Like,
yeah,
I've seen him, like, go at people who come after some of the and it's like, yeah, good.
Yeah, go for it.
This whole notion of, like,
but they're doing it with grace. That's the thing. Then they are being they're taking the high ground. They are being the better person, but they are not afraid to say no.
Yeah.
Like, to put their foot down.
Well, like, this, if Disney owned Star Trek and stuff, this would be firmly not allowed.
Yeah. Although, fair play to Ewan McGregor, when there was the criticism, I can't remember the actress's name, but she played one of the lead characters, the antagonist, in Obi-Wan. He stepped up immediately. It was within like 12 hours, pretty much. He made a video, posted it online.
Fair to Stars, I do actually think, because Lucasfilm does run on a slightly. Well, I think Marvel is fully integrated into the Disney machine. Lucasfilm is still allowed to run. I think through the grace of it being Kathleen Kennedy in charge.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm still kind of runs as an independent entity.
To an extent, yeah. I think they still have to bow to certain Chinese demands.
Moses Ingram
as well. Is the
actress's name. But and I think Lucasfilm has maybe realised it didn't protect some of its sequel actors.
Yeah.
As well as it should have done.
No, not in the slightest. Because I think
there was an interview recently with Boyega.
Yeah.
Where he says, actually, the people at Lucasfilm now are doing a better job than we did with me and with
the Rose actress.
Yes.
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yep.
She's the real embarrassment there. Like, what they did to her, what the fans did, what Disney and Lucasfilm didn't do.
The problem is, it's a character that, obviously bringing JJ back, it was a character that JJ had no plans for because he didn't invent the character.
No, I mean, I'm on about the protection of the, the person. 100%, I'm not on about the, like, obviously we'll potentially one day have an on-screen chat about episode 9.
Roseanne Boy, Kelly Marie Tran and Boyega, John Boyega, they were both hung out to dry for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
The only time the fandom kind of switched over to being on John Boyega's side was when they could use it as a cudgel against Disney and the films. I think you see it similar to like the Snyder cultists' love of is it Anthony Fisher who plays Cyborg?
Yeah.
It's only when they can use it as a weapon to get what they want out of. But yeah, back to
But then, luckily, the majority of Star Trek fans seem to be a different breed.
You're just missing the.
No. I mean, there are people who have.
I think the majority of Star Wars fans are fine. In all of these cases, it's a very loud, angry Twitter populations. Let's not. I'm not. Fundamentally, I've seen the worst of Star Trek fans, so I don't want to sit here and pretend this fandom does not have its problems.
No,
or doesn't have its problems I think the difference is how.
I think I've seen the worst of Star Trek fans, but the thing is, they get put in their place. Like
it's how the studio does a better job at protecting its.
Yeah, and as I was saying, the actors are allowed to, and the actors genuinely love being part of Star Trek, and I think that's whether it being
like the love in across all the shows of being in these shows is fantastic,
and it's for so many different reasons as well, because it's just like obviously you've got your big important things like the representation of the LGBTQ plus community, of different races, of all sorts of different societal issues, but then the simple joy of Star Trek. And the fact that there are actually some excellent actors and some young actors as well who may be of a generation that could be quite cynical towards Star Trek, and they're loving it. Because they know they're part of something quite special at the moment that, even on the simplest of terms, is just bringing enjoyment to what is actually quite a miserable world at the moment.
Do you know one thing? Speak of Star Trek, one thing I love? Mobile games have terrible adverts.
Oh God, yeah.
Have you seen the Star Trek ones?
Oh yes, yeah. It's on my timeline on Twitter.
What
all
I love
the time.
is that they've got everyone in there. They have
I've not watched it with the sound on, but it's on my Twitter feed.
Sometimes they're worth watching with the sound on. Like you have Brett Spiner and Jonathan Frakes captaining ships against each other, and then you have they've got Michelle Yeoh in there.
Yeah.
They have why is her name escaping me? The actress who plays Michael Burnham.
Before you mentioned it, I would have had her name right on the tip of my tongue.
It's one of those things that just escapes my.
Sonequa Martin Green.
Yes, she's in there, and part of it is you know what?
Yeah.
This is doing more to get me to want to try this game than anything Shadow Raid Legends has ever done. Because we even seem to be having fun doing those adverts, is the thing.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, though. I think fun can be a dirty word.
I think should be fun. I'm going to see Bullet Train later, and all I really want out of it is for it to be a fun train romp.
I read the headline somewhat.
Critics seem to not be overly happy
from
with
IGN, who said they very much approached it in the same way that Crank was approached. And to be honest, that sold it.
I've seen it get critically panned, but I love trains, and I love things set on trains. Oh man, someone should do a Star Trek train episode.
Surely there's been one.
I don't know.
There has been one. There's a TNG one. Because it's directly referenced in... Yeah. It's directly referenced in Rick and Morty. With their train episode. Season 2's wrapped, including a crossover
with Lower Decks.
episode with Lower Decks, where apparently the Lower Decks actors are going to be playing their characters in live action.
Yeah, and then other way animated, right?
So, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but yeah.
Well, Lower Decks season 3 is next up.
Yeah.
Which has some Grand Theft spaceship.
Does it now?
Yeah, they steal Streeters, don't they, to go try and prove Beckett's innocent, Captain Beckett.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the biggest Star Trek tropes there is: stealing a ship.
Yeah.
Like,
what was I was watching the other day? Oh yeah, I was watching some people complaining about Discovery. Not watching, I was reading some people complaining about Discovery, and how effectively it's disrespectful that they ever made Michael a captain because she committed mutiny. It's like, whoa.
Oh, excuse me.
What Star Trek captain hasn't committed a bit of light mutiny here and there?
Either a bit of light mutiny or refused to give in to mutiny in the case of Janeway, or even in the case of Janeway, just like straight out genocide because she obviously loves Doctor Who that much.
Janeway does a fair amount of iffy things, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, yeah,
She's also partial to a bit of torture.
Loves a bit of torture. She is totally like Jack Bauer in space.
Like the thing I absolutely love about Voyager's, they make this moment of like, oh, we're gonna take on the radical terrorists as part of our crew, and they're the normal one.
They are the normal ones. Yeah.
Like half the time, this radical terrorist captain has to be like, hey, Catherine.
Federation captain.
Do we want to roll it back a bit? Just a touch. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe you shouldn't kill this guy. I do love for
but
much
why
as
not
I've read
Chakotay?
on it, I do love Voyager. I need to get back.
Why
to
not Chakotay? He got my order wrong at the Burger Shack.
I've only got 6 and 7 left to watch, so I need to get back on that.
You do, mate. You do, yeah. Because it's a good payoff. I mean, obviously, referring to modern Star Trek as well, you get to see a bit more of Jerry Ryan's evolution of 7 of 9.
Yes.
Because she just excels in those last couple of seasons.
And her and Raffi are the best bits of Picard.
Yeah, because we still haven't done our Picard roundup.
We did.
We didn't.
I don't want to.
We talked about it. We scheduled ourselves in to actually do one. And then
enough time's passed, I'm fine not doing one.
We conveniently found a reason not to talk about Picard season 2.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah, it's the thing that
it has bits and pieces I love, but overall it has all the same problems Picard season 1 had.
Yeah.
Which for someone who absolutely loves Picard is disappointing.
It's the show of all of the modern Star Treks which are coming out episodically, like weekly, that I felt should have been released as a Netflix-style dump.
Or just a movie.
Or even just a movie.
Maybe there should have just been a trilogy of Picard films.
Yeah, I would have been fine with that.
The thing is, for more, I set myself on like, okay, Patrick Stewart's clearly enjoying this. This is what he wants to do. I'm willing to. I can't like that. That's fine. Like, let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But again,
I think
there are moments like Alison Pill as the Borg Queen. Fantastic.
The final episode is great.
Yeah.
I just felt like it didn't need the most of the middle episode.
And I'm still somewhat excited for a season. I mean, I still would partly describe Picard season 2 as Voyage Home sans fun.
Yeah.
But I'm still excited for season 3 because of all the cast coming back.
It felt like just a setup for season 3. I think that was the problem. Like, as much as I loved...
I don't know how it set up season 3. Like, it ends on a relatively...
Cliffhanger. Yeah.
But no, it doesn't really end on a cliffhanger, does it?
Yeah.
It ends pretty firmly, Picard. But
No, there is a cliffhanger.
What's a cliffhanger?
There was a, what the hell is this? We need to go and investigate.
Oh yeah, that wasn't really a.
And then that's why, obviously,
That's just how you end Star Trek. So that's not really a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That's just how you end a Star Trek story. Something else to explore.
Mm.
But
and then you won but yeah.
This month, Lower Decks is back, which I think we'll probably just do a season wrap up for as well.
Probably, yeah, because what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is obviously we'll keep the Bears Boldly Go channel running.
I will be.
I think we're going to try and do some other stuff on the main channel.
Yes, I'm also going to be honest. I wouldn't necessarily expect weekly content from us at the moment.
No.
But no one's watching us anyway.
No.
This is an excuse for me and you to talk about things, and we're just sticking cameras on while we do it. But
there's, definitely no one's going to watch us if we don't record anything, James.
True. So we're not going to have weekly content. Our content is probably going to be very sporadic for the foreseeable. So fair warning there. But we're going to experiment with some food stuff next.
Yeah.
We're going to have a episode on British foods that me and Matt are like.
Yeah.
That's the next thing coming up. Bears Eat Britain.
Bears Eat Britain. Oh, that'll do.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I can
we were like throwing names around before we started recording this, and I like Bears Eat Britain.
Yeah, Bears Eat Britain. It sort of works as the overarching one, I think, and then maybe we can have some subtitled
pitch it to BBC, and it's like, hey, hairy bikers are getting older.
Yeah, and we're not anywhere near as disagreeable behind the scenes as they are.
Are they?
They're horrible.
Oh, but they seem so nice. Don't ruin my.
The Geordie one in particular apparently is an absolute arse. Oh. Yeah, and they leave people's kitchens in a mess and just bugger off and just.
We're recording right now, so we could be prone to libel here.
Oh, it's hardly liable. There's plenty of like corroborable data.
Still, maybe edit this bit out.
So, all right, I'll just read. Yeah, they're really nice people.
Both sides.
Yeah, both sides. There you go. There, as apparently politics and society.
Typical BBC.
Yeah. Hashtag you won't see this on the BBC. You probably won't see this on the BBC.
Who knows? Maybe when they get the budgets cut so thoroughly, they'll be saying like, "Hey, do you two want to do a podcast in the exact same format you're recording it? Here's 10p."
Yeah.
Fair. I'd take 10p to have this on the BBC.
Yeah, so would I.
On that note, working for the BBC for exposure.
On that bombshell, we'll do some food stuff.
Yes.
We'll do. Obviously, there'll be some more Trek. I personally really want to do season 3 of Around the World because I bloody love doing season 1 and 2. But we'll do it at a less regimented schedule.
Or we might just record them all beforehand, and then we can have like a month.
We'll do whatever we feel comfortable, James. Because let's face it, we both love films.
Yes.
So I think Around the World is a perfectly good excuse for us to watch a film.
Manchester on Sunday to watch a Wuxia film. The wire and cable martial art
nice
Chinese martial arts films with swords and flowy martial arts.
Speaking of films, as this is a Star Trek show on a Star Trek channel, if you're in the UK, I don't know whether it's worldwide.
I think it is worldwide. Well, it's America as well, but both the Motion Picture and Wrath Khan are getting cinematic reshowings.
For the tasty 4K remix.
Yep. End of this month, start of September. It is the director's cut of the motion picture, which hasn't been seen since the DVD days. It was on the DVD box set you had, but hasn't been released on anything since because they couldn't be bothered to remaster it in HD for the Blu-ray sets.
Yeah. Although to be perfectly honest, if you do have that generation of DVD, that is one of the finest masterings of any DVD that you'll ever come across.
It's potentially
and you put it through a decent upscaler.
In some ways, in regards to color timings and things like that, it's a better mastering than the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And the 4K ones have gone back to that kind of color timing, but upping the image quality. Which also, if you're someone who doesn't like cinema, doesn't do the cinema, what's coming out also, because last year they released the first 4 films on 4K, which I bought. So I'm going to be buying the motion picture yet again. But coming out in September, you've got a 6-film box set with everything. All the films are coming out individually as well, with some very nice slipcases on them.
Lovely.
And then the motion picture director's cut is getting a special edition, which also has a 3rd version of a film on it that's only on that special edition set. If you buy the standalone Blu-ray or the version that comes in the box set, you are just getting the motion picture and the motion picture director's cut.
What's the 3rd version?
A TV cut.
Oh.
Yeah, a TV cut.
Is that longer or shorter? Or
I think, well, the director's cut is shorter than the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
I think the TV cut sits somewhere
in the middle.
It's an oddity, like...
Yeah.
I'm paying 60 quid for a special edition because I want to own it.
Yeah.
Even if I never watch it.
It's like that version of Superman the movie that's 3.5 hours long that was only ever shown on American television.
No, it's on Blu-ray.
No, but I mean, it is now. But like, it was only ever shown on like American TV, and I think it made it to the cinema in like some really obscure country like Kyrgyzstan or something like that. It was like you've completely.
Weirdly, it's not. It's on a standalone Blu-ray release they released, where they kind of made a deal of, this has got the super long version on it as well.
Still never seen it, as much as I love that film.
It also, I think, is on the iTunes release as a special feature. It's not on the 4K release, even as a HD special feature.
Yeah. Interesting. On that bombshell.
Yeah. Films, they're great, and weird cuts are fun as well.
They are. Go and see Star Trek if you can.
If you've never seen the Star Trek movies, fair warning, don't expect to fill a minute with a motion picture.
No, but it's a visual like feast.
If you want to see 10 minutes of a slow fly around the Enterprise, or a 10-minute screen of black with music playing because it's that kind of old film.
Oh, yes, please.
I like the motion picture, but it's dull.
Yeah, but it was deliberately made.
They got it for 2001 as opposed to
Star Wars, because like Star Wars came out 2 years beforehand, and they didn't want to copy Star Wars, so they went for 2001, which is probably.
I mean, for Star Trek, it's a very Star Trek film.
It is a very Star Trek. I mean, probably at the time, obviously, it didn't feel like it was the right decision, but I think in hindsight, actually, I think it was, because you wouldn't have got the other films without motion picture.
Wrath of Khan is a lot more thrilling. And I would say if you're only going to go watch one of these things, if you're only going to pick one to watch, because they are obviously on, it's not a double bill or anything like that, they're on different nights, different weeks.
Yeah.
Probably go see Wrath of Khan. It's the better film. That said, it's probably got to be motion picture, maybe more of a spectacle for the big screen. And your chances of, I think you probably have more chances of potentially seeing Wrath of Khan on the big screen again in your lifetime. This may be your only chance to see the motion picture director's cut on the big screen. I think that's much less likely to ever get re-released on the big screen in the future than Wrath of Khan is. Wrath of Khan hits another anniversary, it's probably going to show up.
Somewhere, definitely, because it would be one of those ones, especially now with...
I mean, Wrath of Khan got re-shown last year on the cinema.
It's also going to be one of those ones that are like at independent cinemas. If you're lucky enough to live near one, that they'll be able to buy the rights to show it.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be your only chance of seeing Wrath of Khan on the big screen in your lifetime.
So maybe prioritize motion picture. So right, we keep trying to say goodbye, and then we keep thinking of other things to talk about. We'll wrap it up.
On that note, goodbye, folks.
Live long and prosper, everyone.